we develop, a concept of winemaking which is very much into the use of very alive materials. So we are fermenting most of our wines either in concrete or cask fermenters, and we are moving away from the small barrels for the aging, because I don't believe it's an interesting tool to use. Because when it's the small barrels, when they are new, obviously they add to the wine a lot of flavors and aromatics that I don't believe we need to make a very good wine, especially if the wine is very good. I always say that if you have an amazing piece of beef, I think it's grilled that and added some salt is enough. You don't need 3 layers of barbecue sauce, unless the beef is very bad. Then you need to add some flavors that it doesn't.
And the same goes for wine. Yeah.
Same is for wine. So I believe that the wine requires for the aging 2 things. One is some micro-oxygenation, which is coming from materials which have got porosity, like oak, like rough concrete without lining inside, obviously, or terracotta vessels like amphora or whatever, and then requires microbiology. And microbiology also likes a very alive material, which concrete, oak, and terracotta are. When you have these 2 conditions, you don't really need to add flavors and aromatics in my vision, because I believe that the soil, the climate, and the grapes and the microbiology of the grapes are more than enough to deliver something which is plenty of flavors and plenty of elegance and complexity. That's my vision. Plus, it depends on what you like into a wine, because obviously if your descriptors are concentration, power, and viscosity, barrels, especially new, they help a lot. And then layers of oak flavor, vanilla, chocolate, coffee, and whatever. My descriptors, or the descriptors I like the most, are authenticity, purity, energy, vitality, balance, drinkability, juiciness, freshness, tension, and if you like elegance and complexity, obviously. If you like these descriptors, I have found, in my experience, the use of small barrels not helping me a lot, or at all, better say. When they're new for the problems of giving the wine a lot of flavors and aromatics, when they are old, still, because of the size of the barrel itself, the level of micro-ox is too high, and the wines, maybe they are gaining a little bit of mouthfeel, but they are losing energy. And to me, energy is very important. For example, when you use vessels of the same size of barrels, like the amphora, you may think even there is the same level of excess of micro-ox. But first of all, the material doesn't have the same porosity as oak, and then most of the time the amphora are underground, which I work with them in Armenia in a very interesting project, and I use a lot of amphora, but most of them are underground, and that's allows to have a much less micro-ox into the wine and keep the energy of the wine into the wine itself. So that's my thinking. So it's again it's interesting what I'm doing, because I believe that the next probably 30 years of this world are going to be very different from the past 30 ones, and I believe that there will be a lot more wine education. There will be more from the consumer, the search of an experience. And I think that if you like diversity, if you like to do an experience, you may appreciate more and more good wines, well made, which are expressing, different places and people and tradition and everything, which I think is what makes the wine a great learning experience. There is no other liquid which can teach you so much, apart from the pleasure of drinking, which is very important. But if you think what's behind the wine, if you follow the wine is teaching you about the world. It's an amazing learning and cultural experience, which doesn't happen drinking other drinks. You can drink a beer, you enjoy that. There are the microbreweries, there is a lot behind that, but not as much as with wine. And if you drink, you are Scottish, so whiskey, which I like a lot, but it's basically it's only there, and it's not so wide as the wine world. You know what I mean? It's a great word, to know, and obviously it's not an industrial product at all. But it's wine is teaching you about places, people, tradition, cultures, relationship, connection with food. So, but all that happens if what you drink is delivering something which is more related to its origin. Because if you drink a wine made for the market, you may enjoy that because maybe it's very good, but what are you learning? Very little. And that's what we are all players. You are a wine writer, I'm a consultant, then there are producers, there are sommelier, there are consumers, there are, the actors of this movie are very many, but I think all of us should work in the direction of promoting the culture of quality first and authenticity and second, because I believe that we would live in a much more interesting wine world. And I remember when I was a child, I live in Tuscany in a small village where there is a local wine fair, a very simple, rustic, not glamorous at all. But I like that because it's not glamorous. And I remember when I was like 50 years ago, I was going there with my father, who had a small vineyards by then. And my father was going with his friends, and there were, all the producers with their wines, and they were saying, let's go and try a wine from Corigliano, a wine from Sommiano, a wine from Sanzio. Basically, they didn't know the word terroir, they didn't know the word authenticity, but they were experiencing the diversity of Mother Nature. And why that? Because by then, the farms were all biodynamic, because they were only using...
By their very nature, yeah, that was the only thing they knew.
The winemakers didn't exist, thanks God. There were good, people making the wine, but without adding anything. They just transforming grapes into wine.
And it was basically the passed on knowledge of the winemaking as well. Yeah.
There was experience, which is very important too. So basically, the environment was very natural because the vineyard were natural, the winemaking was natural. There were no, enzyme, nutrient, yeast. There was nothing by then. And basically, what you were offering into that market, which was this rustic, simple wine fair, was the diversity of Mother Nature, because Sommiano, Corigliano, and Poggio Tempesti, and a few others, there were the 5-6 hills around the town. And my father with his friends, who again, they had no idea about all these words, organic, biodynamic, terroir, authentic, they were experiencing the diversity of Mother Nature. So my dream and my hope is that with more knowledge, with more experience, we will be able probably to make even much better wines than we were making by then, but with the same spirit. Taking an advantage of the knowledge, not to manipulate too much or to make this for you or for him or for her, but just trying to be more loyal to our environments without losing the concept of quality. And
I understand.
That to me is my approach.
So how many countries do you consult in?
Well, I'm Italian, so I'm consulting in Italy, of course, even if there is a famous way of saying, nemo profeta in patria, which is not true. In my case, I love my country, and obviously I do work in the Italian wine regions, and then I work in South America in the 3 main countries like Uruguay, Argentina, and Chile. I work in North America, in the US, and here in Canada in the Okanagan Valley. Then I work in Australia, in Israel, in Armenia, and in Spain.
So you get around a bit.
I do I do travel a lot. I don't like to be part of the Flying Winemaker Club.
Yeah, I've heard you speak about that term with some disdain.
Yeah, I might probably start moving by boat, so I'll be a sailing winemaker, the only one in the world. So I decide what the category is about, because Flying Winemaker, most of the times, they are seen like these boring gray people who are traveling with the recipe and trying to do the same wherever they go, which is exactly the opposite I'm doing.
And they try to impart their personality onto the wines no matter where they are.
I try to use my experience to encourage my client to make, traditional, authentic wines, and sometimes my mission is just to bring my experience and make them feel more comfortable and more confident in what they have and in what they could do, which I think is very important. Obviously, I'm visiting my clients. I'm not into the day-to-day operation, but I don't need that. I don't need to be involved in that. I'm just part of the discussion about the vineyard management, the winemaking techniques. Obviously, I'm part of the blending sessions and things like that. But I like to have very good people to work with. I don't like to be mentioned. I mean, I don't mind, but I don't believe that showing, at the front your consultant is a sign of confidence in what you do. So
you don't need your name on the back label.
No. Well, I don't like it.
Okay.
I don't believe is. I don't believe. I'm a screwdriver, which is important because sometimes to do things you need that. But I think the soul of a project is the place, is the owner, and is the in-house people who are working every day in that. I'm just, bringing them my experience, my view, and often giving them confidence that what they're doing is very good, or they could do even better if are not distracted by market and pleasing here and there. So I think that's my role.
Alberto Antonini, thank you very much for giving us such an insight into your philosophy when it comes to winemaking. We look forward to your tasting this afternoon.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.